What's up, guys? Trevor the Great here again with another Way of the Swan battle report featuring two super cool Warmachine and Hordes factions fighting it out. This time we don't have any Signar going on. It is Circle Orboros versus Khadoran today, and there is a reason for that. And the reason is that I'm kind of taking a break from Signar right now. I'm dabbling with Circle for a little while. Not because I think Signar is bad or anything, just because I was getting a little tired and wanted to play something new, and Circle is super fun. So I'll probably stick with them for a little bit and go back to Signar sometime in the not too distant future, but until then, stay tuned for some cool Circle battle reports and whatever other factions I can get onto the camera. I'm going to Adepticon very soon, just in a couple of days, and so I'm going to be bringing Circle to that. I'm not too experienced with the faction. I don't have many games under my belt with any of my casters, and so I don't expect to do very well, but hopefully it'll be fun and all that. I want to apologize for not getting too many battle reports out to you guys lately. The reason for that hasn't been that I haven't been recording battle reports. I've been recording a lot of them, but between mechanical failures and just games being not very good, I haven't uploaded any of them. I don't tend to upload games that are silly, that end on, with silly assassination runs or bad dice or something like that, so you guys get, reasonable battle reports, and you can actually hopefully learn something from them. But anyway, today we have some awesome Krueger2 versus Butcher3 action. Krueger2, obviously very powerful circle caster, a lot of hard control in his list, and Butcher3, a very, very popular Khadoran caster, especially in the Hordes matchup where Silence of Death can shut down healing and knock aspects out of War Beasts and stuff like that. So pretty common pairing you're gonna, or pretty common match you're gonna see in tournaments, and some pretty cool lists I think going up on the video today. So the Krueger2 list I'm playing in this particular game features 3 heavies. It's 2 Werewolf Stalkers and Getorix. It's the one I've been playing around with the most. I like it. One of the Werewolf Stalkers might turn into Megalith at some point. I'm not sure. Usually I only need 2 heavies to really do what I want, but there's, matches with Colossal, something like that, where I really want 3 heavies, so 2 of them can go and kill a Colossal, and if I lose both of them for some reason, I still have another heavy to threaten their caster, or to kill other important pieces, something like that. But that's the battle group. There's also a Gorax, because Goraxes are sweet, and a Druid Wilder. There are 2 units of Shifting Stones, with one of them with a unit attachment, a unit of Druids with their unit attachment, the Druid Overseer, 2 Gallows Groves, as well as a Black-clad Wayfarer. And I think that's the whole list. That sounds about right. Haven't gotten too much work out of the Black-clad Wayfarer so far. I think he might get swapped for something, but I'm not really sure what. Perhaps Victor Pendrake, because I think this is going to be a pretty good Legion drop, and giving Beast Lore to the Druids is really good to give them those boosted Force Bolts onto, high defense War Beasts. And I think that's pretty good, but I'm not really sure yet. I might drop them just for more, Swamp Gobbers or something like that. But we will see. My opponent's list today, if I can remember it correctly, is the Butcher Unleashed. That's Butcher3, and he has 2 Juggernauts in his battle group. I think it's a very strong battle group for Butcher. The Juggernauts are cheap and, super, super hard to kill, as well as hitting very hard and threading a reasonable distance with Energizer. So Butcher can sort of stay safe and use them to trade pieces before he has to come in and use his big axe to win the game. Now, with Ruin coming out, I think those Juggernauts are going to turn into Ruin pretty quickly, because Ruin is friggin' sweet, especially with Butcher3. With Energizer and Balance Charge, he threats 14 inches with reach. He can punch people, get extra souls, make tons of attacks, especially charging for free. He is just good all around. So there's also a War Dog attached to Butcher. There are 2 units of Iron Fang Pikemen, both with UAs. One of them has the standard UA with the defensive formation mini feat. The other one is a Black Dragon UA. I really like this loadout. Having the 2 different units of Iron Fang Pikemen that are able to present 2 different threats. I think that is, it's very strong. The normal Iron Fang pikemen can really push into zones very far with their extra advance they get at the end of their activation with their mini feat, whereas the Black Dragon's attrition a little bit harder with that extra +4 armor, and I think having both of those is better than having 2 units of Black Dragons, for example, which I see a lot of people do, and I'm actually not a huge fan of the Black Dragons from the Khadoran perspective. I like playing against them because their mini feat isn't nearly as scary as defensive formation, I think. There's also 2 Iron Fang Cognics to speed those guys up. There's a unit of Widowmakers, along with the Widowmaker Marksman, and Alton Ashley. The super secret tech there is that Alton Ashley can shoot a War Beast to knock its spirit out, and then you can hit it with Silence of Death to deal a grievous wound so it can't be healed. So that War Beast is effectively useless for the next turn, which is a pretty cool little idea there. What else is in this list? There's a bunch of solos. There's Saxon Auric to give the Iron Fangs Pathfinder. Mostly the Black Dragons because the normal ones get Relentless Charge from their unit attachment. There is Madeline Corbeau to give Butcher some extra threat. There's an Ogre and Boker to protect him. And I think that's everything. Off the top of my head, I think I've covered the whole Khadoran list. So that is what's going on. The scenario that we're playing today is Fire Support. In this scenario, there are 2 relatively centrally located flags, one skewed a little bit towards each player's side. That flag is that player's flag, and they have an objective next to it. The objectives do contest the flag for the opponent, so you're not able to score until you destroy the objective. There's a kill box in play, and you score 1 point for dominating your own flag, 1 point for controlling your opponent's flag, 1 point for destroying your opponent's objective, and 2 points for dominating your opponent's objective. This scenario tends to be very fast and play very centrally. I don't think Circle's too big of a fan of it, unless Krueger can get a good feat turn off and really push up into his opponent's flag, but that usually doesn't happen in my experience so far, even though my experience is very limited. But my opponent is going first, so Butcher's going first, and let's get into this game, see what happens. Alright, on to the game. As I said before, my opponent won the roll to go first and chose to take the first turn. Normally Krueger likes to go first, which is why my opponent was very excited to take first turn instead of me. Here is playing Butcher. You can see sort of skewed towards my flag. I think the plan here is to push through that forest in front of him that we forgot to put trees on because we're scrubs. And threaten a scenario score on my flag. Obviously Butcher is a very powerful scenario caster with his ability to just clear zones and flags by himself, as well as his ability to just threaten enemies and push them away by virtue of him hitting like a Mack truck. The Black Dragon Iron Fang Pikemans are the ones next to Butcher on the farther side from the camera. The normal Iron Fangs are across from my opponent's flag, closer to the camera. I think the plan there is to hopefully use their mini feat to push past the flag when the time is right, and then be able to effectively jam me out if possible. Whereas the Black Dragons can really get in on my flag and hang out there for a little bit. My deployment's pretty simple. I just generally deploy the whole battle group in the center, 1 stalker on each side, Khadoran and Krueger in the middle. Not a lot of nuance there. The mobility allowed by telekinesis and shifting stones means that the War Beast can really threat very far and go almost anywhere they want. So I'm not too worried about spreading out this early in the game. But here's the advanced deploy going down, Widowmakers and Saxon Auric and Alton Ashley, and the marksmen are on the far side across from my flag. The Widowmakers in the center there with Saxon Auric behind them, as you can see. And then my advanced deploy putting the druids in the center, the 2 units of shifting stones in the center. The unit without the UA is farther towards my lines. I like to keep that one a little bit back because long threat ranges can sometimes shoot at them early. Now, speaking of long threat ranges, this is a mistake on my part. I ended up deploying on the AD line, which means that my opponent's Widowmakers could actually take shots at me on the first turn, because with speed 6, range 14, you can hit about 1 inch into your opponent's AD line and try to take some models out, and my opponent's really trying to reduce the size of that druid unit because their counter magic bubble is going to shut down what Butcher wants to do if he wants to come in and attack my battle group. So I end up losing 2 Widowmakers to 2 druids to Widowmaker shots, unfortunately, and 1 Gallows Grove. and that was something I could have easily avoided by just deploying an inch back and behind that wall maybe, and that would have been pretty good for me. But here's the Black Dragons getting a Pathfinder from Saxon Orc and then using that to run. No mini feat this turn because they're not really in danger yet. 2 Juggernauts, as you can see, ran up as well. They're 8 inches. The Ogre and Boker is running up in order to protect Butcher from, I guess, Krueger's scary gun is the only ranged attack I have in my army. But he is still a medium-based model that gets in the way. And then Butcher advancing, casting Energizer to push those jacks up, and keeping relatively far back himself. He doesn't really want to get too close because Krueger with telekinesis and teleportation can really get Warbeasts to strange places, especially since Butcher spent a bunch of focus casting Energizer. So he's going to stay pretty far back this game and hopefully not get killed by any scary Warp Wolves. Here's the regular unit of Iron Fang Pikemen running up behind that wall. Again, with them, no mini feat as well. Doesn't really work when they run anyway, so that would be kind of wasted. And the Iron Fang Kovniks just moving up as well, and that is everything. Over to Circle. So my opponent does have a couple ranged attacks, but with clouds and stealth, I think I can sort of mitigate them. So the plan here is just going to try to deviate as many AoEs as possible into those Iron Fang Pikemen. I'm a little bit sad that the Gallows Grove across from the Black Dragons died, because the Black Dragons are very closely packed, and a couple Lightning Storms would be pretty good. But here are the Druids going. The Overseer putting down a Devouring ends up being out of range, because it's only range 8, and hits a couple models. I think ended up killing 1 Iron Fang Pikeman with that blast damage. 3 Clouds going down, and a Counter Magic from the unit leader. I was considering moving those Druids back, the ones that weren't the unit leader or the unit attachment, in order to protect them from the Widowmakers, but decided against it. Here's the Gallows Grove moving forward. Krueger throwing out some Lightning Storms. I don't really need Stormwall this turn, because like I said, I can defend against those ranged attacks with Clouds. So I'm deciding to throw 2 Lightning Storms out of that Gallows Grove, hopefully hit some of those Iron Fang Pikemen and stop them from being a problem in the future. We end up killing 2 or 3, I think. So that's 3 Iron Fang Pikemen down out of 24. So slowly but surely, we'll get there. And then Krueger going down to a 0 camp with by boosting damage rolls. Not that it's going to be a huge deal in this particular turn. Again, he's behind a cloud wall, so he can't be shot at. There's counter magic up, so Butcher's not going to be able to cast Flashing Blade or Impending Doom in that area, so I actually think he's out of range anyway. But feeling pretty safe right now. All the Warbeasts moving up, those Warp Wolves getting Prowl, walking into the clouds, Getter-X hiding behind the cloud wall, and everything else just meandering up in the back. So we're back over to Khador. Some deep thought going on. My opponent's worried about being pushed too far back with a Krueger feat on the bottom of 2. So I think he's going to try to spread out a little bit and hopefully still be able to threaten to score some scenario points. But here are the Black Dragons going, getting Shield March, calling a Shield Wall, and their mini feat, pushing them up to a reasonable Armor 22, which is pretty legit. And then everybody moving up in pairs to get that Shield Wall bonus. One of them ends up engaging the Druid Overseer. Makes an attack and misses, unfortunately. The Widowmaker's going a couple aims, couple shots, shooting into the Druids, again trying to shrink that counter magic bubble, but unfortunately with their camouflage and concealment in the clouds, they are defense 18, and they are not afeared. If the Widowmakers, I think, had gone before the Iron Fang Pikeman, they could have shot into the Overseer and probably killed him. I think there might have been some Order of Activations issues with the Widowmakers being in the way, I'm not sure. That might have also just been a mistake on my opponent's part as well, leaving that Overseer alive to fight in melee with Iron Fang Pikemans, which is, let me tell you, exactly where a Druid wants to be, fighting with their mighty Mat 5 Power 10 sticks that they hit people with. Juggernauts moving up, the other Iron Fangs. Is this a charge? Well, there's a charge with Relentless Charge over the wall, and then running. I don't think we see a mini feat this turn. because most of the unit has to run. But we do get 2 charges on the Gallows Grove, automatically hitting, dice -3, ends up killing the Gallows Grove pretty easily. 1 charge onto the Overseer as well, does not hit. So that's both Gallows Groves down. It means Krueger's got to get up in there in order to cast his spells. Unfortunately, very silly of me to lose the first Gallows Grove on the first turn, but that's how it goes. So, Butcher moving up into that forest over there behind just a wall of models. His dogs are in front of him as well as the Ogre and Boker, so 3 medium base models sitting in front of Butcher. And he is very well protected. I can't really get... Oop, well, I have a spectator walking in front of the camera. That's awkward. I can't really get any models into Butcher this turn, but I think the plan here is going to be to try to whittle away some of those Iron Fang pikemen, and then feet to buy myself a turn of charges. Hopefully be able to clear those Iron Fang pikemen, and then either get onto Butcher or try to get into the Juggernauts. The Juggernauts are a bit of a problem for this list. I don't really want to have to primal to kill them because they're only 7 points, but I might have to. There's one more full stalker going up, getting Lightning Strike from the Wilder. Warping Berserk, attacking some Iron Fang pikemen, kills 3 of them, and then walks backwards as well. The Druids going. We're basically going to be doing the exact same thing that we did last turn. Putting a Devouring into the Juggernaut. That ends up killing 1 Widowmaker as well as an Iron Fang, I think, that were sitting right next to it with that AoE 4. Another trio of clouds going down. The Black Clad moving up, doing a Stone Spray into the Iron Fang unit or officer, hoping to kill him and deny them a mini feat. Unfortunately missing. And then the other Stalker goes in. Lightning Strike itself kills 1 Iron Fang pikeman that was in front of the Overseer, and then ends up warping Prowl and moving backwards. Now, here's Krueger going, walking up next to one of the Druids, so I move the cloud. He's feeding, sort of pushing everybody away. He ends up getting almost the entire army. Unfortunately, my opponent's attempt to spread out actually basically just made this beautiful crescent that encompassed Krueger's almost entire control area. But we get most of the Iron Fang pikemen. We miss some of the souls in the back. We catch Butcher, so he's only speed 3 this turn, and just pushing everybody away. Krueger boosting a lightning bolt shot into the Widowmaker. It gets shield guarded onto the Boker, and then a boost damage on the Boker. End up doing 3 or 4 points, I think, just to soften it up. And telekinesising himself back, again going to a 0 camp, casting Stormwall as well. So between the clouds and Stormwall and Prowl / stealth on my models, really shutting down ranged attacks. Counter magic is up and Butcher's at -2 speed, so he's not going to be able to get in on in melee. So Krueger's feeling very safe again in this little cloud bunker. And then my opponent's just moving up his models. Shield March, putting those Black Dragons back at speed 6. So they are just walking 6 inches. 2 of them get onto my objective, end up doing 3 or 4 points of damage to it. All naturally moving around the side. Taking a shot into the Druid, trying to kill one of those Druids. Again, shrink that counter magic bubble. That is basically the most important thing on the Khadoran side in this game so far. But unfortunately, again, that defense 18 really shutting down a lot of Khadoran shooting. And with my feet mucking up everybody's positioning, those models are going to have to move instead of aim, and so they're just looking to roll hard 11s. So we have the Widowmakers going, taking a couple shots, rolling 111 to hit a Druid, so that is 3 Druids down so far. The counter magic bubble down to 8 inches, because the Overseer, despite all odds, has continued to survive like a boss. We have the other Iron Fang Covenant going, giving another Shield March to the normal unit of Iron Fang pikemen who are advancing, receiving Shield Wall order, popping their mini feet. CMA kills the Black Clad, and then they're going to mini feet backwards, I think, in order to stop Berserking Warpwolf from killing the whole unit by accident. And then everything else repositioning. My opponent very careful not to really give me any easy targets. I'm going to have to work to get any of those Juggernauts or of the important solos. And so, you know, a good feat turn to blunt my opponent's advance. Unfortunately, didn't really score me any scenario points or anything like that, but I have two options right here. I could push towards my opponent's zone, or my opponent's flag, keep that counter magic bubble up, keep those druids safe, as well as Stormwall, and hopefully keep Butcher at bay, try to clear that flag, or the objective with a Warp Wolf and sprint away, clear the flag and score on it. But Butcher has remained in the same place as he did last turn. He's still towing into that forest, and one of his dogs moved away. Right now he's sitting with War Argus sort of in front of him, over a little bit on the right, his Boker directly in front of him, as well as his War Dog. And I think I have an Assassination here, so I'm going to go for it, because it's super cool and I like killing people's casters. So here are the druids going. They're pulling the Ogre and Boker out of position. I think two relatively good damage rolls end up just killing him, and one of them kills the dog. So some pretty good dice right there. I'm sorry, I killed the dog. I didn't kill the Ogre and Boker. I did 1 or 2 damage to it, but I didn't end up killing it. Casting a Primal onto Getorix with the Druid Wilder, and then the big unit of stones teleporting Getorix forward. Yeah, so Getorix is actually a proxy base up on that hill. Krueger charging forward, also becoming a proxy base. Charging the Ogre and Boker, casting a boosted telekinesis into Butcher, pulling him forward, turning him around. A telekinesis into Getorix moves him into melee range. And then Getorix warps strength, so he goes up to power Mat 9, power strength 21 in the back arc. The War Dog's dead, so Butcher's not going to get his 360 from the War Dog. And 5 power strength 21 attacks later on a Butcher camping 4 to be armor 22, ends up putting him in the dirt. So that is a win for Circle Orboros, a crazy janky assassination run out of Krueger2, which is basically what that guy excels at. Besides some strong scenario play and hit and run, he is really good at killing people. I played 2 tournaments with him over the weekend, won both tournaments, ended up winning 1 game on scenario. Every other game was Assassination run. Was Assassination through either Chromac or Krueger2, because the crazy vectors those two pull off are just insane. Obviously, I think my opponent could have stopped it by putting a lot more models in the way. I didn't have enough druids to really pull the number of models I wanted out because of my mistake on the first turn. So I think if my opponent had just positioned more dudes in the way to stop the telekinesis placement, then it would have been a lot harder for me to kill them. If the druids rolled well, maybe gotten a devouring in there, it could have gone well, but I'm not sure. Also, counter magic like Alexia or in Midwinter shuts that assassination run down pretty hard, and I see those models a lot with Butcher, but not in this particular list. I think this particular list is going for a lot more business and less little support models in the back. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this battle report. It was a bit of a short one, but I hope it was fun. And stay tuned for some more super cool Circle battle reports in the future. I am going to Adepticon, as I said, this weekend with Circle. If you're there, hit me up. Hopefully record some games there, and, you know, all that. Keep it classy, folks.